Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs. Hi guys!
Everybody.
How is everyone doing today? We hope you're doing amazing. Today we are doing episode 188, all about appreciating the people in your life and those in heaven too.
And the animals too.
And the animals. And we thought this episode would be perfect today. We have a loved one that's passed. Her name is Paris, so I want to dedicate this episode to her. So young, 18 years old, filled with so much life, and it really just hit my heart a different way because I was just with her not too long ago, and she was sharing the importance of like future dreams and everything she was excited about. And today's episode is all about really taking that time when you're with people to really be present and focus in on them, knowing that it's special. It's a gift. Everyone that you come across is a gift, and appreciating those moments is so powerful. And just as much as it's important to appreciate the people that are here on earth, it's just as important to appreciate the people that are in heaven, because they are still here. They're still very much alive, and they want to be a part of your life, and they will be able to communicate with you just in different ways.
Yeah, and I think that most of our audience that listens to our podcast, they understand that you can connect with past loved ones just as easy as you can with people here on earth. It's just like picking up a phone call. But if you're somebody who you haven't really experienced that in your life, I understand. It wasn't until, 12 years ago when I first started talking to Lindsay that it opened up my awareness to where I immediately started to connect with past loved ones. And it was something new to me. And it was something that before that I never had a desire to do. And after I started to experience it, I looked back in my life and I realized, wow, that's what that was. I realized I had already experienced that over and over and over, but I just didn't have the words for it. So it is easy, just as easy as, if I want to call somebody here, I pick up the phone, I call them. You could set your intention to call them in heaven too. And it's, in my experience, just as powerful and just as real.
Yeah, it's a big shift in energy, because when you have no option, where you think people are going to be here forever and you don't realize that they're going to be taken away so soon, the only other option is to continue that relationship in a new way. So this is why it's important that when you're doing your everyday life, you're running to the store, you're in your car, you're driving down the road, that you're aware that your past loved ones can be with you, joining in these activities and appreciating those moments. It's really easy to second guess, especially if someone's just passed away. You might think, I don't hear them, I don't feel them, I'm not experiencing them. But a lot of the times we miss it when we're in grief. And a lot of times we think that maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's just too far-fetched for me to think that this is accurate information. Maybe I'm grieving so much that I'm just reaching for things, but you're not. It doesn't have to be so difficult when you're communicating with them.
And you will know the difference when you are in your head and whenever you're not, right? Over time, you'll start to experience that. You'll start to feel what's real. I find in my experience, it's when I'm doing other things like riding my bike or playing sports, or even when I was in college and I'd be studying for a test, all of a sudden, boom, the energy would come over. I'm a person who I feel it first. I'll either feel it with my feelings or I'll feel someone nudge me. And I think everybody's different the way that it comes through. But the point of this episode is to do it, right? Is to set that intention, is to know that you can appreciate them whether they're here or in heaven just as easily. And the power of it, the power of communication.
Yeah.
The power of communicating clearly to the people here on earth, right? We want to communicate our feelings and our thoughts as much as possible, as clear as possible to everybody, to our wives, to our husbands, to our entire family, to all of our friends. And that's such a power when you can do that clearly. And we want to do the same thing to the people that are in heaven. We want to communicate clear to them because they're there and they have a desire to communicate with you as much as you have the desire to communicate with them. So the more clear you can get yourself, the more clear the communication is going to be in heaven too. I feel like the more clear your mind is, the more clear that communication is, because it's intangible.
Yeah. And you have to be, there's no like wishy-washiness with words when you're communicating with them, because you want to get this information to them so quickly. So you're not going to waste your time. Maybe if you've lost your own loved one, you probably noticed that everything that you might have wanted to say, you wish that you had that opportunity to go back and say it, and just, even though it felt uncomfortable, you just shared it anyways. So when you think of someone that's still here, at times it can be uncomfortable to be completely honest or truthful when you're having the tough conversations. But this is why it's so important. You do not want to wait until it's the end or someone's passed that you start sharing things. You know, if you appreciate something in someone, you see something in someone, tell them. And I feel like in 2007 with Nick passing away, he was a big catalyst for all of this with the work that we're doing. And each person that we've had in our life that's passed, you know, our sister-in-law, Kylie, you know, grandparents, friends, people that have passed away, it really reiterates the importance of being truthful and honest and in sharing everything that's inside and not holding back. That's the only thing that you can do. And the one thing that's important with all of this is you're a human. So nothing's going to be perfect. Your honesty and truthfulness might not come out as graceful as you want it to be, but if it's truthful and honest in that moment from you at that time, that's the best that you can do. And I think that's the importance of this podcast, is no matter what, to share your truth, because you don't know how much time you have left to live. And then also, even if you are someone that's lost someone and you're suffering with that and you're grieving them, know that you can continue the conversation and continue the relationship too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a good point. We don't know how long we all have, right? So why we're going to wait until next month or next year to be honest with people in our life? We're going to wait until we don't know, right? We don't know how long any of us have to live. So the vulnerability is powerful, right? It takes vulnerability to connect with people that are in heaven, right? That's vulnerable. That's as vulnerable as it gets for some people, right, at first. Once you get used to it, then it doesn't seem as vulnerable.
It's more normal.
It's more normal, but it's the same thing with communication here and being vulnerable with people. As you practice vulnerability, it becomes your new normal. And it doesn't mean that the people here on earth, doesn't mean that they're going to come back and they're going to be just as vulnerable as you, right? That might be too much for them, but you can't control that.
Yeah.
On heaven, it's a different experience. People that are in heaven, I find that the vulnerability just naturally flows, right? It's like maybe they see more clearly from that space. But from here, we could only control ourselves. We could control how genuine we are and how genuine we're going to show up in all of our relationships.
Right. And it's a process. It definitely is a process. But one thing that I've been thinking about recently, I would say, I feel like it's been over a month that I've been thinking about this, but I've been doing it since probably 2007, because it hit me that when I am with someone, when I'm saying goodbye, and I'm putting it in quotes, but it's not goodbye, I always treat it like it could be my last time seeing them or talking to them. So I savor the moment. It's almost like I freeze time in that moment. So I might look at them a little bit longer when I say goodbye, or I might not do something directly after I say goodbye. Like if I'm saying goodbye to a family member or a friend, I freeze that moment and I freeze that feeling, because I know what it's like to wish that I had one more moment with someone if they've been tragically taken away and you don't plan for them not to be here. So that's my suggestion for you, is when you're in front of people, the next time that you say goodbye, or, you know, see you next time, just hold on to that moment. Hold on to the image of them. Hold on to the feeling. be so present and locked into that moment so that you remember it and you take it in, because you never know how long people have.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's the feeling and the emotional intensity of each moment. That's what makes up our life, right? If you think back into your life and you think of the best moments of your life, it's always those high emotional moments, right? The intensity's there to where that memory burns into your mind. So some suggestion you could do, and this goes with connecting with people here on earth or in heaven, is it's the environment. When you go into powerful environments, so for example, one of the things I like to do to connect with my friends and family is go to sporting events, right? Travel and go to sporting events, because when you're in an arena, the energy of that arena is so intense, the emotion is so high, and I always find that I have my best conversations with whoever I'm with there, even if they're not the biggest sports fan, right? It's about coming together in that high intensity emotional experience. And the same thing goes when you're connecting with people in heaven. It's when I'm riding my bike on Bayshore and I'm looking at dolphins and the sun, or we're, we're out here by the water. It starts to happen much easier for me, myself, when I'm in those high frequency environments. I start to connect with people in heaven much easier. My communication flows easier, and my communication flows easier whenever I'm connecting with people here on planet Earth too, when I'm in those powerful environments, right? It's like discipline in your environment. If you think about certain people, you're like, all right, if we hang out, where is the best environments where we have the best conversations and we could connect most deeply? If you think about that for each person in your life, it's most likely going to be some kind of different environment that you can go to with that person. So think about that when you're connecting with people here on earth or in the heavenly realm. It's the power of your environment as well.
Yeah. And a lot of the times when you're highly emotional, like you're not in an energetically good space and you're angry or you're upset, most likely the information is not going to come clearly like you want it to be coming in clearly. It could come in visually, you might see it. But if you're wanting to communicate and you're all riled up and you're upset about something, you're going through a difficult time, most likely you're not going to get the answer that you want right now, or you're not going to get the sign right then in that second. So you have to open up and free your mind. And I think that's where you're saying, Tony, with like the bike riding, that frequency, being in the sports arena. For me, it might be at the beach. I'm in a space where I'm not distracted by other things. But there are so many different ways that you can put yourself in situations to receive. A lot of the times we're missing the moments when they're coming up. A lot of the times we miss the small moments. Once you get on the frequency, though, you're going to notice that it's constant communication with the other side too. And it is about the presence. And if we practice presence with the people that we're here with right now, that are still here, living here on earth, we're going to notice a big difference with our communication with our loved ones. And I think that's the switch. It makes it easier when you can be present with your loved ones here, and it helps catapult you into the connection with your past loved ones. So when you practice one thing in one area, it's going to help you in another area.
Yeah, that's so powerful. That reminds me of so many times where I was with either friends or family that they're not open to connect them with the heavenly realm. Like it's just not, they're not ready for it for whatever reason. But it happened. And it happened only in the times whenever we were very present and having a deep conversation or just enjoying the moment. All of a sudden we would both feel an energy come over, or some kind of sign would come through, and people that were not even open to connecting with past loved ones, all of a sudden, because we're doing it here in the earthly realm, it's happening in the heavenly realm too.
Right. And I think it's important too that once you are thinking of this as normal communication, that it's not really separated, it's going to be so natural. I feel like the topic isn't taboo anymore. I feel like with the reality television, with the mediums, I feel like with the buzz on everything that's going on in the world, people are opening up, they're awakening, they want more, and they're recognizing the signs. So if you think, oh gosh, I sound crazy, I'm guessing, if I had to guess a percentage of people that have experienced signs or somewhat believe in the afterlife, I would probably say 80% of people really have had some sort of experience with signs or believing that there's something beyond what we see here with the human eye today.
Yeah, and you hit a good point too. It's from like the TV shows, it's from the media, right? That's starting to opening up people around the world, and it's from you. It's from you all. If you're a psychic medium, you're somebody who's experiencing this, right? You can share your experience when you're pulled to do it, right? That's the way that we start to really transform the world, is sharing our authentic experiences when our instinct is telling us to do so, not letting fear stop us from doing it, right? Like I said, I can name dozens of people that weren't even open to the spiritual realm, but then we got into the right environment, the right situation happened, and boom, either I shared my story or it just happened, right? Yeah. So stay open to it. Don't let fear of people judging you stop you from sharing your authentic experience, whether that is you went and had a good meal somewhere, or if you're connecting with past loved ones, because you know how many people are on the planet right now that their heart is shut off because they're closed off to this realm, to this powerful realm. They may have had a dad pass away or someone close to them, a friend, and they're just shut off and they're thinking that friend's gone forever. But boom, here you come along, either on a live video or in person or wherever it's at, and you're sharing your heart, you're sharing your soul and your authentic experience with the world. That's what's going to really help transform the world, right? It's sharing stories. We could tell facts all day long, but you share your personal story. That's what really gets through to the heart and soul of people and really opens them up.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I can think of so many different stories from people that didn't believe that they were going to have the experience. They were waiting for a visitation from their loved one, or they were waiting for a message to come through a medium. And they've shared with me, I just had a reading the other day, and someone came to get her reading, and she shared that her loved one has been coming through so much, and she's living her life as best she can. He's coming through so much that it's almost as if it's like her new normal. And it's interesting because it's so easy now. And it wasn't like that from the beginning. But once you open up once to receive a sign or get the confirmation, it's almost like a flood of energy that comes out where you can't close that door anymore. It's like once you open up that door, that connection to that love to the other side, you can't close it anymore. You're forever changed, and you'll always be able to go back to that little radio station, turning the dial and go back there. So just know that it's ever happened to you before, it can always happen again. It might happen in a different way, but you can always be present to the heavenly realm, because they did not die. They're still alive. You don't see them with the human eye in the same way all the time, but they're still there with you.
Yeah, and you're still alive here too. You still have the music inside you, the stories inside you, right? Most of you that are watching this, that listen to our podcast, you've experienced connecting with past loved ones, right? Go share that with the world in an authentic way, right? You don't have to shove it down everybody's throat, right? Don't share it to people that they're not open. You don't want to like try to convince them, but you'll know when the time's right. It'll flow, right? It'll flow just like a good song, just like good music does. And that's what it is, right?
It is. So if you are listening to this episode, whether you're listening to the replay or you're listening live, share your stories. We'll read your comments below, because we love hearing stories of the messages of those people that have passed and transitioned into the heavenly realm and the signs that they've given, but also share those moments where you feel very present in certain environments, and maybe one thing that you're going to do differently. Think about a thing that you're going to do differently the next time you're in the presence with a family member or a friend. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.
All right. We love you all.
Bye, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.